Hey, what's up guys? Today, I'll show you a crime thriller film, No Mercy. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. The movie starts before sunrise. The scene shows the landscape of the countryside with grassy fields and a river. Suddenly, a gunshot alerts the ducks as they simultaneously fly away. A girl is seen taking pictures of the flying group of ducks. However, she seems disappointed that she couldn't take the ideal photo. A guy with a gun then arrives to meet the girl. She scolds him that he should have scared them when the sun has risen for her ideal photo. As they are walking back home, they argue about their failed photo shoot. Suddenly, the guy trips and falls. The guy tries to get back up, but sees a corpse which shocks him and a coming girlfriend. The following day, we see a professor teaching cadets about autopsies on corpses. The professor ends his class and he meets with a coworker. The professor is later introduced as Kang. He and his coworker talk about his retirement as a professor and a forensic pathologist. He reasons that he wants to end the life of looking at corpses. He also states that he wants to spend time with his daughter for a long time, and he is excited about her arrival from studying abroad. Suddenly, a call comes for Kang, requesting him to go to a crime scene. He accepts this as his last job before retirement. In the same countryside, a crime scene is set up near the local river. The senior detectives are unsettled at the sight of the dismembered body. Meanwhile, a rookie detective, short-named Rookie, is complaining that she isn't given chances to participate in the investigation. She is seen assigned only to keep people outside the police line. One of the senior detectives, the mean detective, sees her complaining and scolds her for slacking off. Rookie then continues to do her assigned task. She then notices a person slip past through the police line. She tells him to stop and ends up knocking him down. She then recognizes the man as her Professor Kang, and Kang then remembers her as one of the cadets. Their greetings are cut short when the senior detectives notice the incident. They then greet Kang and ask him to analyze the corpse as their forensic specialist. Kang arrives at the crime scene and looks at the body. He observes her body dismembered into 6 pieces with one arm missing. He then brings it to the autopsy room to try to discover the cause of death and the killer's motive. They do a background check on the victim, and Kang asks Rookie for her theory. She theorizes that the killer might have intentionally wanted the body to be seen as a message. The mean detective undermines her theories to assert superiority. However, Kang agrees that her theories are correct. It is later revealed that the motive is also grudge-based, since the dismemberment was unnecessary for a murder. The detectives decide to give Kang space so he can study the body further while Rookie stays behind to watch. Kang begins dissecting the body to find any other causes of death and evidence. This causes Rookie to vomit and leave. After a while, Kang presents his findings in a meeting room. He reenacts the actions committed by the murderer and he explains the death is from head trauma. The body is later dismembered at sea due to salt present on the body and to avoid bloodstains. Then the body would be thrown later at the river. Based on his autopsy, he also finds that the corpse also had granite in its hair and nostrils. This gives Rookie a lead since granite is commonly present in cement factories. Meanwhile, the mean detective also has a suspect who is rumored to be the boyfriend of the victim. The chief of the police station then orders them to follow their leads. Rookie goes to the cement factories, while the mean detective goes to find the victim's boyfriend. As the search begins, the mean detective finds the boyfriend at a horse betting arcade. He brings the boyfriend in for interrogation. However, the boyfriend tells him that the victim never contacted him for a month. This lead becomes a dead end for the mean detective. Meanwhile, Rookie arrives at one of the cement factories. The factory is experiencing strikes from environmental activists. The foreman at the factory insists that this place is clean since the factory works non-stop. The foreman adds that it's impossible to hide a murder even at night. He then insists that Rookie should handle the protesters instead of interrogating him. Rookie notices the protesters protesting about stopping the construction on the river. Suddenly, her attention is caught by the crowd of workers rushing towards a granite hill. She follows them and forces her way into the crowd. She then spots the missing arm of the victim, which confirms her lead and suspicion. The following evening, she looks through her findings on her lead. She decides to consult with Kang on her findings. When she arrives at Kang's house, she is greeted by a dog, which she plays with for a while. She then continues to look for Kang to show him her research. Kang thinks that the cement factory and the river are trails left by the murderer, and he thinks that the suspect wants to be found. The next day at the police station, Rookie prepares to present her findings. The mean detective still picks on her, but the chief stops him from letting Rookie present her case. Rookie then explains the trail left behind by the murderer. First, the body is found murdered in the cement factory. It was then dismembered at the ocean. The suspect then went to throw the rest of the body in the river while leaving one arm at the murder's original location. Rookie then explains the relation between those two locations and what's the motive of the killer. The river is believed to be a reincarnation of Venus, the goddess of beauty. Construction projects made by the factory destroy the river's beauty. The river is shown to have been cut off into 6 pieces by the factory. Therefore, she theorizes this is a message of eco-terrorism by using the victim's beautiful body as a representation of the Venus River. This murder might lead to the stopping of construction on the river. However, this doesn't explain how the murder is grudge-based, which unsettles Rookie. The trail then leads to a possible suspect from an environmental group named I Love Venus. The lead points at a crippled activist. After checking the crime scene's other evidence from the river, they find matches of a cripple's footprint. Rookie is then ordered to bring the activist for questioning. As they meet him, to their team's surprise, the activist confessed his crimes with the motive of stopping constructions on the river. Rookie also believes that his motive is also for revenge for his father and sister, but the activist ignores her statement. However, Rookie thinks that revenge is also the activist's motive, but doesn't know who the activist's revenge is for. Meanwhile, at the airport, Kang is waiting for his daughter to arrive from overseas. However, after her flight's arrival, she is nowhere to be seen. Suddenly, a strange man approaches Kang. He gives him a letter from the activist. Before Kang could ask the man leaves in a hurry. He accidentally bumps into another person, making him drop the letter. The letter's content is on the floor. It reveals that his daughter is kidnapped by the activist. After a while, Kang gets a call from Rookie. She tells him that the killer for the murder case is the activist. He hears this and rushes over to the station to question the activist himself. He arrives at the station and has a private chat with the activist. He asks the activist where his daughter is. However, the activist just tells him that they should negotiate before telling him. He also angers Kang by joking that he would experiment on his daughter to improve his killing method. The activist then starts his negotiations. He asks Kang to tamper with the evidence so that it contradicts his confession. Kang agrees for the sake of his daughter. Kang then races against the police to recover and tamper with the pieces of evidence. First, he asks Rookie where the dismemberment tool for the victim is. She tells him that the evidence is an electric saw with blunt traces of the victim. Kang then heads to the autopsy room and finds the saw has not yet been analyzed for a blood scan. After finding it, he heads home to get blood from his dog and returns to the autopsy room. He then distracts the forensic pathologist to go to the office as he sneaks back inside. He begins to disinfect the saw and swap it with his dog's blood. Meanwhile, Rookie is being told to rush the forensics team on the blood scan. Rookie then rides over to the autopsy room. As Rookie arrives, Kang barely escapes from the autopsy room to avoid suspicion. Rookie then asks for a status report on the blood scan with the doctor. However, they are interrupted when Kang has a word with her. He tries to throw their investigation off course by telling her that the activist is not the killer. She has doubts, but ultimately ends up trusting the advice of Kang. Kang then visits the activist and demands to speak with his daughter. The activist refuses at first, but starts calling his partner. Kang snatches the phone from him, but realizes the call is faked. He then beats up the activist for tricking him. Suddenly, a call from his phone arrives, and he hears his daughter distressed. He talks to her, but she doesn't hear him as she doesn't respond. Suddenly, the call is cut off. After hearing her voice, Kang then continues his deal with the activist to free his daughter. He demands the activist to tell him where he hid the murder weapon. However, the activist doesn't cooperate and instead tells him to find it himself. The following day, Kang heads over to the victim's house to fabricate evidence that her boyfriend raped and killed her. He looks for the boyfriend and finds a hooker who knows where he is. Meanwhile, Rookie heads to the autopsy room to get the blood scan results on the saw. However, she is surprised when the doctor tells her that it is the dog's blood. The rest of the investigation team hears this and rushes to find the murder weapon as alternative evidence. However, the team leader of their task force orders her to get Kang's autopsy report. Back to Kang, he is searching for the boyfriend at the horse betting arcade, but can't find him. Before he leaves, he gets a call from Rookie requesting the autopsy report. Kang fakes being sick at home and tells her to get it at his house. Rookie then tells him about the dog's blood on the saw and the retrieval of the murder weapon. The murder weapon catches his attention, so he asks Rookie where it's found. He then proceeds to the residence where the murder weapon is kept and begins his search. Meanwhile, Rookie goes to Kang's residence, but is unable to locate him, though she does notice his dog. She is taken aback when she notices the dog's legs are covered with blood. She then recalls that the saw is stained with the dog's blood and begins to suspect Kang. She allows a veterinarian to examine the dog and confirms that the blood on the saw belongs to Kang's dog. Returning to Kang, he is still on the lookout for the murder weapon, but he hasn't been able to locate it. The cops arrive unexpectedly and discover the murder weapon ahead of him. Since he couldn't get the weapon, he follows a lead on his daughter's kidnapper. He checks inside the house and realizes that the kidnapper has a grudge against him. It's then revealed that in the past, Kang was related to the activist in another case. The case involves the activist's sister allegedly raped by 3 rich defendants. Kang tampered with evidence, making money from the rich defendants to heal his sick daughter at the time. This resulted in the defendant's rape accusations being dropped and the activist's sister's social life being shattered, leading to her death. As he recalls the previous case, the strange man from the airport notices him, so he dashes away. Kang pursues him, but the man beats him up as they battle throughout the chase. He is revealed to be the activist's father's adoptive son, and it turns out he aids the activist in his quest for vengeance. The strange man leaves Kang on the road as he escapes. As Kang gets back up, he heads back to the activist after failing to find a lead on his daughter's location. Kang then arrives at the station and asks the activist for his daughter's location. However, the activist doesn't reveal it unless he frees him from prison. Kang then attempts to frame the boyfriend for a kill-rape case on the victim. Meanwhile, Rookie realizes that Kang is tampering with the evidence and tries to arrest Kang. However, she couldn't arrest him after knowing he was forced to do it for his missing daughter. Rookie tries to understand why the activist is targeting Kang. She then learns of his past wrongdoing of tampering with the rape case of the activist's sister. She asks a friend to look deeper into that case, while she proceeds to find Kang to help him find his daughter. Later that evening, Kang attempts to get a hormone juice sample from the boyfriend of the victim. He pays the hooker he met before to have a wild hormonal night with the boyfriend and get his hormone juice. The hooker succeeds in getting him the sample. He then heads over to tamper with the final evidence that will free the activist. However, before he can leave, Rookie tries to stop him but gets knocked out by the activist's brother. Kang then calls an ambulance for Rookie and he continues on his task. After implanting the semen on the victim's corpse, he frees the activist from custody. He then follows the activist to his home and begs for forgiveness. He also asks him to give his daughter's location. However, the activist refuses to forgive him and they end up with a fast and furious fight. Kang eventually wins and forces the activist to bring him to his daughter. Meanwhile, Rookie wakes up and meets her friend. He shows her the details of the past case related to Kang and the activist. She discovers that the activist has already killed the 3 defendants. She also discovers the current victim was actually a witness to that past rape case and the friend of the activist's sister. They also find out that the victim also lied for money, which therefore made her the murder target for the activist. Rookie then follows Kang's trail in his search for his daughter. This soon leads her to the activist's brother. They fight for a while, and Rookie eventually wins, but she ends up killing him. She then checks the house to find Kang's daughter, and is shocked to see the daughter is already dead. Kang also arrives, and she tries to stop him from seeing his dead daughter. However, he forces his way in and sees his daughter. He tries to pick her up, but only her head and limbs are inside the tub of petals. It is revealed that she and the victim were both killed and dismembered by the activist. The activist also swapped the victim's head and limbs with Kang's daughter and discarded the victim's body. Kang realizes that the body he was tampering with was his daughter's, and he falls into great despair. The activist then tells Kang that he should feel his pain resulting from the revenge. Knowing the whole truth, Kang gets furious and shoots the activist. However, due to his grief and guilt, he also ends his life. The movie ends as the activist narrates about karma and how forgiveness is hard while hatred is easy to get. This is Daniel's CC Movie Channel. Stay safe and enjoy your day.